Hello, everybody. I think we are live. I already see that a lot of people are joining us. Welcome to everybody. This is Couch of Science. We are Pint of Science Belgium, and today we are trying to speak with you a bit regarding what is going on around the world. And today with me, my name is Michele. I'm one of the volunteers of Pint of Science Belgium. Today with me, I have 4 other people that actually you're going to see very soon in your screen. And hello, guys. Hello, everybody. And today we are going to speak a bit about this situation. We are not going to go in deep in details in the science, but we are going to try to help you out to understand why we are in this situation, how to survive to this situation, and maybe laugh also a bit about it. So today with me, I will start from the top. So just below me, you see Renata.
Hi, everyone. So I'm a researcher at the Royal Belgian Institute of Natural Sciences.
And then after her, we have Matteo.
Ciao, everybody. I'm a PhD student in the ULB, but I think it's more than enough.
And then after him, we have Anna.
Hello, everyone. I just finished my PhD in KU Leuven and the ULB.
And last but not least, Michael.
Hey there, I'm a plastic engineer in the medical field. Please, Michele, tell me, what's your background?
Yeah, actually, I forgot about that. So my background, I have a master in biotechnology and biophysics, but right now I'm working as a bioprocess engineer here in Belgium. All of us, we live in Belgium, but as you can see, not all of us is Belgian. I think just Michael is Belgian.
I'm quite 100% French, sorry.
Oh, okay. So as you can see, Pint of Science Belgium is quite international. So that's very good, very good. So first of all, thank you for everybody that is here. We will encourage you to comment and to let us know if you have any problem in terms of technical issues. So audio, video. If you not hear us very well, just let us know. And then just drop your some questions if you have it, some comments. We will try to share with you also some resource and some websites that actually we put all together during these days that we're preparing this event. And I hope that all of you are sit comfortably in your couch. And as a Pint of Science can always say, I hope that you have your beer with you, as all of us we have, or most of us actually.
I do. Just a fancy mug.
So I will just go for the very first part, and which will going to be presented by Matteo. So Matteo, just let's introduce a bit this COVID-19, which actually is not the correct way to call the virus, right?
Yes, actually, I think that was the first revelation that bring me at least to try to study a little bit this virus, because the first thing that I did was to go to the mighty Google and ask, what's the coronavirus 19? And he told me, well, actually, it's not the virus, that's a disease, you silly. And that's why I realized that I really had to study what was happening. And that's what I did. And I'm going to try to walk you a little bit through a few basic information, because I'm no virologist, I'm no epidemiologist. I think nobody of us is. So we are just people that are interested in science, and we are going to share a little bit of knowledge of what we gather. But yes, what I did was to ask to Google, okay, then let's start from the basic and just let me know what's a virus and what the coronavirus is. And here you can see actually this picture that is a nice representation of the SARS-CoV-2 virus, and pretty much every virus. It's just a ball with genetic material inside, no more, no less. And what it does is simply staying there. It's not even able to replicate himself, to grow like any other human cells or animal cells or bacteria. And the only thing he wants to do is to infect cells. and being able to replicate. And the coronavirus, the SARS-CoV-2 is pretty much absolutely the same in this regard of any other virus. What it wants to do is simply infect cells. And the way in which it does it, I think everybody actually saw it everywhere in the news, is through these droplets. So basically those are, you can see it as, again, little balls of saliva. The people that has the virus simply, they just spit it out when they speak, when you cough, when you sneeze, when you just want to spit in everywhere, you do actually spit the virus as well. And if, for whatever reason, you get in contact with these droplets, with the virus inside, then you get the virus. That's pretty straightforward. But then, of course, okay, that was pretty clear. Virus is a ball with genetic material inside, that's fine. But then the question was like, okay, but then how does it infect your cells? What's happening in the body? And it's happening, the reason why the virus is able to infect the specific cells in our body is because, okay, it's a ball with genetic material inside, but it's not quite that only. You can see from the picture that it has this red pointy thingy, I would say, in a very specific term, that are called spikes protein. And basically the virus, any virus, what it does is using these pointy thingies to attach himself, to hook himself to some cells that he likes a little bit more than others, because he can recognize something that these cells has. And this specific coronavirus, what it's able to do is to recognize another pointy thing, if you want, that is a protein, that is an enzyme that is on human cells, that is called ACE2, and you probably read it somewhere in the news. It's not important what it does. The important point is that these ACE2 proteins is on many human cells, but is highly present in the lungs. And so what this virus does, when it enters in your body, it finds these cells that he really likes a lot because of the ACE2 proteins. He can anchor himself to them, and then he can enter. And when he enters, is extremely vicious because they, like any other virus actually, what he does is simply replicate himself. But since he's not able to do it by himself, what he does is to force your cells to do it for him. So it basically tricks your cells in replicate it for him. And that's what he does. He just replicates himself on and on and on and on and on and on. And then when he has a lot of friendly virus with him, he just goes outside from the cells and goes to infect everything. So that was also pretty clear. Okay, the virus ball with genetic material, spiky things, goes in the lungs, infect your cells. But then how the hell this virus is able to actually bring these dangerous diseases that we can actually see everywhere in the news? Well, that's also a little bit more vicious again, because the virus itself is not gonna do too much damage per se, because again, of course, he's gonna replicate himself, he's gonna make mess in your cells. But what he does is trick somehow your immunity system. Your immunity system is simply the way that your body has to react to the virus. Of course, our body is not gonna stay there and take the virus and say, well, too late, and I got infected, nothing I can do. There is something that he can do. And he has cells that they can fight against the virus. And they go where the virus is infected cells. And what they do, it's something a little bit more gruesome. They start to kill your cells, our cells, that were infected. And there's a way that our body has to block to contain the infection. But for some reason that I don't think they are completely clear in literature, in scientific research now, somehow our immunity system, when the virus is infecting your lung, sometimes gets mental, basically. And he starts to kill pretty much everything he has in front of him. Both cells that were infected, healthy cells that basically doesn't have any problems. And of course, that's not good. And it can end up with making huge damage to your lungs. And as you can imagine, you do need lungs. So if the damage is too high, you ended up in the intensive care, and then what we are seeing right now all over the news. So that's pretty much a bit of a contest of what is the coronavirus 19, how it enters in your cells, what it does when it's there. There are many other things that we can say, but for now I think is more than enough. I don't want to go more in the details.
Yes. You have been, I hope that you have been very clear to me. You have been very clear, and I hope also for everybody that is actually following us now. But another question is, who is in danger actually against these?
Yes, well, if you can imagine, since it infects lungs, if you have lungs, you are infectable, so you can be in danger. So everybody, essentially. But of course, if we see at the rate of people that died because of the coronavirus so far, this is a little graph. I think the data now are updated from last week, but didn't really change that much so far. And you can see that, of course, the older you are, the more danger you are. But that's also quite obvious because elder people, they are also a little bit less, more fragile, of course. But what's actually important to point is that this thing can kill pretty much everybody. It has the potential, at least, to infect and kill also extremely young people, and also people with no disease at all, no prior disease. Is an extreme minority. We can see it's less than 0.2% of the infected people, but it can do it. And nobody really knows actually how or why. And this is, that's pretty bad, actually.
Yes, exactly. And here we have another graph. We'd actually explain also the correlation that we have with the people that actually are died for not exactly for the virus. This is something that sometimes might be misleading. So the virus can generate this COVID-19 syndrome, this disease, but actually most of the time it's just a complication
Yes.
for something else that is already present. In fact, as you can see in this second graph, we have also people that might be in danger because they have previous disease or conditions that actually made them in danger. So that's why it's so important to be careful with this, and why it's so dangerous, basically. But I don't know, Matteo, do you have something else to add regarding this?
Oh, I think it was pretty much everything. If people has any other specific question on it, we can try to do our best to reply. But I think for now, it's
of course, for the sake of time, we just do a very small introduction with a lot of approximation about what actually is going on and how actually is this virus. But this doesn't mean that you can go on and find more information. In fact, we suggest you to go to watch these two very nice video where actually you can have much more information regarding how the virus works. And actually, all this can already give you an idea why we should do the quarantine. But I think that Michael is going to explain to us why it's a worldwide problem first, and then why we need to stay in quarantine.
Yeah, so for sure, as you have seen in the past months, there's a lot of countries that are being impacted from one to another because of the virus traveled. So for now, there is more than 180 countries that are impacted. That is pretty much every country, maybe except North Korea. There's almost 1 million people that are infected right now. I won't tell you about the people that are dead. So what happened is that at the end of January, the world decided to place the COVID-19 as a global health emergency. Mainly because it was like in China, they had a really peak of people infected. They had something like more than 10,000 people infected in 1 month. And so, they decided to put it as an health emergency because it would be really harmful, especially in the countries with weak health systems. That happens what happened. Now the virus is spread in every country. We are trying to manage it by doing quarantine. Some others are not doing pretty much for the moment. So yes, in March, I think it was in the beginning of March or the 10th of March, the World Health Organization just classed it as a pandemic. So meaning that it is spreading all over the world, and yes, and that is harmful. So yeah, just quick thing about the virus. Some countries think that they can go over it and just not deal with it, saying, okay, our country is not China and it's going to be okay. We can do with like we will survive it no matter what. It's not really the case, and like the virus doesn't strike regarding your genes, your ethnicity, and it doesn't matter about the borders at all. Like if someone with the virus is traveling from a country to another, the virus won't stop at the border. So definitely there's going to be like it is in every country now, and measures should be taken. And so we go to the measures that are being taken. So most of the country already stopped all external flights. Most of them already closed most of the airport because the internal flights are really restricted to military aim and to help their healthcare. So you've been talking about the quarantine a lot of time, especially in Belgium and in France, in Italy as well. So maybe what is this flatten the curve about? What does it mean? The thing is that, as Matteo told you, the main spreading of the virus is when people interact with each other. So basically the first thing to do is to limit these interactions to the minimum. And how it will help? It will help because there are a lot of people that are being infected because of it. Only a few part of the population is having really serious harmful on their health. But actually it's still a lot compared to what the hospitals can handle. So basically what is this flatten the curve about is it's just to spread and ventilate the number of cases each day, so the people in the hospitals can manage the cases they have. The problem that we see now in Italy and that we are seeing in some region in France is that we have more death than we could have had in the hospitals because the professionals there are doing less good medicine that they could have done because they are lacking time, because they are lacking supplies, because a lot of things. So yeah, basically this is how we can help with the fighting of the virus. It's like the first step is to just trying to not have the virus for as long as you can. So quarantine show their effects. Basically, actually, I had that is quite good news. Yesterday in South Korea, they ended up the strict quarantine. So the strict quarantine are very efficient. We have seen it in China for the results we have. We have seen it in South Korea. We have seen it in Japan as well, because they knew before they had the SARS in English, sorry. The SARS something like 5 years ago. And so they learned about it, about how to fight the spread, how to fight the spread and the disease. And so their strict quarantine is working. The number of cases they report every day. And yeah, so good news is that in South Korea, they ended up with the strict quarantine yesterday. Yeah, the bad penchant of it, like the bad thing in the balance, is that some countries are not seriously. I'm not going to say any name, but basically, some people consider this problem as not an emergency and prefer to keep their economy high. But yeah, in at any point they will have, like, what we are trying to do here is to avoid the sanitary crisis in the countries with the quarantine. And we know that there's going to be an economic impact on it. What the countries without the quarantine are doing is that they are not having the economic crisis for now, but as the sanitary crisis will strike, the economy will feel really bad as well in their country.
Yeah. Thank you, Miguel, for this explanation.
I have a question as well.
Go on.
Because I didn't see it in the news here, honestly, because of course I do check mostly the Italian one. Because they say that in Italy, most of the cases are men. Do we know what's happening in Belgium?
I think actually it's a general trend.
It's everywhere,
not just
no?
Italy. I think it's a general trend. Yes. I think a true third of the cases are men. Yes. So
it might be my dream to stay home forever. Then never
I
leave.
think I think it's something also related to the type of conditions that like cardiac disease or diabetes. It's usually something related more to men than women. So maybe this might be one of the explanation, but it's just a guess. So I really have no data about that. So I would like to go very briefly to through the comments. Michele is asking actually where if we can post here in the direct the link. We were going to do it afterwards in our Facebook page. So please remember to put to follow us, and you will have all the reference of articles and videos that actually we took here in account. And then we have Juliana that says, Renata, Brazil loves you. And I also see, I don't know, maybe I lost him. Loren, actually, that it says, hello from Pint of Science Austria volunteer. Hello, Loren. And we have also some guys from Pint of Science UK, a Pint of Science Norway. Hello, guys. I hope that you are still with us. So let's go further and let's try to understand what we can do. It's also, okay, we need to stay home to follow the quarantine, but we need to do also something else. Keep the distance, the social distancing, and so on and so forth. But one of the points is also how to wash your hands, actually, which is something very, very important. And I don't know, Miguel, if you want to speak also about. I just forgot about this slide actually.
Yeah,
if you want to talk about this very interesting study case.
True. Yeah, I've been through the study that has been in the Diamond Princess. So there was the ship that was in quarantine on the sea for in February. So basically, at the end of January, they declared 10 cases in the ship. So quite fast, they started to just don't have any contact with anyone outside of the ship. And the 4th of February, they began a strict quarantine in the ship, inside the ship. So it was quite complicated, but they did it. They ended the quarantine in the 20th of February, so 2 weeks after the beginning of the strict quarantine. So what they did is like they had 20% of people that is not much compared to what have been done, and what the study shows, it's something like they avoid 60% of infected people. But one thing that they figured out is that half of the people didn't have any symptoms at this moment because of incubation time, because of many other things. But yeah, as of this moment, they didn't have any symptoms. So basically, what they did is that every day they still monitored it, like they did the test on the people and they checked their health, how their health was going. And so post quarantine, and after a few weeks, there was 18% of the people that were infected that didn't show any symptom. And I think for me, this is one of the most reasons I will stay home, actually, because maybe I have it, maybe I didn't show any symptom for now, maybe I won't show any symptom, but I am still a vector of the disease, potentially.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, this is a very interesting casting state. But sorry, so right now these people is still monitored, or they are still on the ship? I think they are not in the ship anymore, right?
No, they're not on the ship anymore since the 24th of February.
Okay.
But what they did is that they monitored them on the symptoms for like 3 weeks.
Okay. So in fact, actually, one of the biggest deal right now regarding this quarantine, this pandemic, is the people without any symptoms. In fact, it's very apparently it's much more worse than the scientists thought in the beginning regarding this, because a lot of people actually they have the virus inside their body, but they have no symptoms, which make them very dangerous. So that's why, as Michael was saying, stay home. So the quarantine is very important also for this reason. So as I was saying, actually, it's very important to know how to wash your hands. And there are tons of video in YouTube and in on the internet. But we found one that actually we think is very interesting and is very educative. And now actually we are going to share with you, and we will see the video all together. And then we are going to speak a bit about that. Enjoy the video.
Let's first put soap in the palm of our hands and then begin to rub in between like so. But as you see, there is no soap on the back of my hands. So I'm going to interlace my fingers palm to palm. And then I'm going to do the same technique on the back of my hands with each hand. And then you're going to take the back of your fingers to opposing palms with fingers interlocked. And then start rubbing your thumbs. And then you're going to take your fingertips, clasp the fingertips in the right hand and the left palm, and vice versa. Rub your wrist one last time to make sure your hands have been completely covered in soap. Thanks for watching.
Okay, we are back after this video. Actually, I have a question for all of you guys. Why do you think that washing your hands is going to be good? I mean, how the soap is going to act on the virus? This is actually a question that is not so obvious. Is someone of you knows it?
Yeah. It's because since it's a ball, it's a ball of fat, basically, the virus as well. Well, not really fat. It's a ball of lipid, and your soap, what it does is breaking lipid, breaking fat. It's the detergent in your soap, and what it does is breaking the link between the fat, and basically they just open it, and then you ended up with a broken ball, and then the virus isn't able to do it. But as well, it's also the mechanical friction, so you just remove it mechanically. But of course, you have to do it everywhere because viruses are really small, and you might miss them. Honestly, I don't think I ever washed my hand like that before last month. Ever. I don't know you guys, but
no, I think that's my. Considering my background, my very low background in chemistry, that was my first guess, and I think it's more or less the correct one. So we have actually two a very nice question from Juliana, which actually is asking. I have a question. I was a little late, so I'm sorry if I'm already talking about it, but no worries, Juliana. How do you guys feel about this projection regarding possible deaths? Like it could go up to 150K in the USA. How accurate do you think they are? So this is a very, very complex question. At least me, I don't have any background to reply to this question. So
maybe I would just add a quick word about this.
Go on, Renato.
I read something on Twitter that was very good about all of these modeling and projections. So basically, all models are wrong, but some of them are dangerous. Good. But some of them are dangerous. That's science. The point. Modeling stuff is very tricky in any field, basically. So models are approximations of reality, right? These projections, it's hard to know how accurate they are. We're not going to go into that. But the main point is that it's very difficult to know the mortality or if I'm saying it correctly, hopefully, the amount of people that die due to the disease if you don't test everyone, because you don't know how many people are carrying it. And I think that's a big problem now, because no country is able to test everyone, and maybe the numbers of people that are carrying it are very underestimated for certain countries. I know that in Belgium, they, at least from the last I read about it, they're just testing people that present symptoms, for example. They're not doing systematic testing in everyone. So these models, I'm guessing they assume certain scenarios and certain, percentages of how many people die due to the disease. So it's obviously an extrapolation out of data that we have, but it's good to keep in mind that the data it's not, ideally we should test everyone and then do these assumptions, but this is not going to happen in reality. So these models, we don't know how accurate they are. They're doing the best they can based on available data, basically.
Thank you, Renata. Yes, this is a good point, actually. And in fact, I saw some projection based on statistical prediction on the number of cases, but the window was crazy. So for a country like Italy, they were talking about something between 3,000K and 600K of people infected as a projection. So the window is very huge. So statistically speaking, it's not very reliable, I would say. Actually, someone says all methods are wrong, but some are useful, which make me feel more hopeful about science a bit. And so we have also other question. For example, Guillaume is asking, wouldn't a very sticky soap have the added benefit of preventing you from touching your face? Guillaume, actually,
it's depending on your personal taste.
Yeah. And actually, I would go for something like a very smelly soap, So in that way, you don't touch your face because it's smelly, Otherwise,
but for a paprika-based one.
Oh yeah, of course. Maybe that. So it might be an idea.
Yes.
And so actually, we have also another video regarding washing your hands, which is very, very nice, I think, and it's very funny. So let's have a look of that. There we go. Welcome back. So actually, I love this video. I mean, it's also a kind of reliable. It does everything that it should do, and it does very well, with a lot of intensity as well. So Celine actually is proposing a raw fish in the bin for a week smell soap, which actually could be helpful also for social distancing. That's a good idea, actually. Probably there is someone already producing that. And about that, I don't know if you know that in here in Belgium, some breweries, they are start to produce the liquid, the gel for the hydrogel for disinfecting your hands. This is something that is happening also in Italy for some companies that are producing alcoholic product. But that's very interesting, actually. We should find... it would be nice to have someone discussing about that, actually. It would be very, very interesting. So going forward, actually, now we have something very, very interesting. And it's how actually where we can take reliable information regarding this situation. And Renata prepared something very interesting, so I let her speak about it and enjoy it.
Sorry, but I think Mikkel wants to say something before we go into that.
Yeah,
oh, sorry,
I don't know if maybe it's all right. So yeah, for the action of the soap on your hands, it's actually, I have something to tell you. It's that your hands have fat on it. This is why actually you're not...
Are you calling us fat?
Your hands...
Are you calling us chubby?
This is actually why your hands won't wash really easily with only dry water, like water. Pure water is that you need the detergent to activate the action, the mechanical action of rubbing your hands to remove what is inside your skin.
All right.
That's very interesting. Thank you. It's a very good point, actually. So Renata, let's go on.
Yes. So I think we all face the question of where can we get information from? Because now there's information coming from everywhere, and it's difficult to kind of separate the good sources from the bad sources, I think. But I think in this difficult moment that we're living, I think most people are kind of unhappy in a lockdown. Certainly it is my case, but I do think that we need to keep informed as well as we can of what's going on a local scale to the global scale, because we cannot lose track on why we're doing this. So they were talking earlier about how the virus spreads so quickly and how it can, how it is a problem for hospitals and for the capacity of hospitals. So we cannot lose track on why we're distancing ourselves from everyone, being locked down at home, keeping, 1.5 meter distance, at least the Belgian guidelines, doing this on a live stream rather than at a bar, which we would prefer, I guess. But it's tough to keep informed because it's very negative information, I'd say, but it's really necessary at the moment. And for sure, this will not happen in your family WhatsApp group. For sure, this will not happen in your posts on Facebook from your friends. We really need to go to the proper sources. So what we have to do, first of all, is listen to the experts. This is essential. Right now, they're very, very busy doing research and on the front line, basically fighting against this crisis. And they're also busy providing information to decision makers, to governments. So they're not necessarily... maybe communicating it to the general public is not their first priority at the moment, and this is totally understandable. But this is being done through several different platforms and websites that I will talk a little bit more in a second. And I think the point I want to make is that we, especially we that are trained as scientists, regardless of our background, we really have this responsibility to make this information circulate and to really amplify the information coming from experts. This is really, really important. So I would say just look for who are the people working on it, on universities, research centers around you, and see if they're on social media, see if they're doing any science communication. Just follow them, share what they have to say. This is really important. And obviously, besides that, always seek your information from official sources, which are getting the advice from experts. So local, federal governments normally. I would say for global information, first source is the World Health Organization, which was already mentioned before. So this is the agency of the UN that is specialized in international health. They provide information in several languages, and their website is there on the slide. So basically, they have a lot of interesting information, including public advice, protective measures, traveling advice, etc., technical guidance as well for countries and governments, and also they have some very nice Mythbusters section of their website. And we'll come back to this later on, but it's an interesting website to explore. I think in terms of visualization, because sometimes these things are just numbers and it's a bit difficult to grasp, but the Johns Hopkins University has a coronavirus research center. This is a US university, by the way. So they developed this website where you can visualize on a map and on a series of graphs as well. This information, all these numbers, let's say, about the COVID crisis. So they update this daily, more or less, and they source their data from these official sources, including the World Health Organization, but also other European, Chinese official sources. So this is something interesting to check as well, to keep informed. Now, specifically for Belgium, because we are all based in Belgium, the source to go is the Federal Public Service Public Health dedicated coronavirus website, which is there on the slide, and also they have a free call center to deal with questions about coronavirus. So they give all this information in the 3 languages of Belgium plus English. And they have actually a lot of material there available as well. The summary of general recommendations for the public, it's available in many more languages as well. And they update the website daily around 11 a.m. Based on the reports from Cienzano. And there is a press conference every day around that time that they have a link on their website. So this is really the official source to go. The press conferences, the updates on the situation, they're given by scientists, which is something that is actually pretty cool. So one scientist from KU Leuven and one scientist from Cienzano. They also provide information in sign language, besides French and Dutch, in the press conference. So, as I mentioned, these, I'm not sure if I mentioned it or not, but these numbers, they come from the reporting done to Cienzano, which is a Belgian federal scientific institution. So their website is also there for you. We will post all of these links later on as well, because I know we got these questions before. So this is a really detailed report, updated daily, that shows very, detailed information about Belgium by province, by region, and there's also data on gender, because I know that we brought up this before, but there's also information on gender, socioeconomics, etc., for hospitalizations and confirmed cases. And there's also, from the Federal Public Service, there's the Crisis Center. It's more information on crisis management in the 3 languages of Belgium. And for Brussels, there is one dedicated website gathering information with some interesting numbers to keep close to you if you have emergencies. But basically, all of these websites, they refer back to the info/coronavirus.be, which is the main source, and also Cienzano. And I think that covers the important ones.
Okay, thank you, Renata. That was very, very helpful. Anna is collecting actually some of the questions that you are doing, guys. Some of them are quite difficult, and we will try to reply to them maybe at the end. Anna, do you have some questions that you want to try to tackle right now before we go on? You are in mute.
Or someone mute you, because that happened as well.
Okay, we cannot hear you. I don't know why. That's very weird. Before it was working, your microphone. Try again. No, nothing. Yeah, that's a shame. That's a shame. So I think that we try to go on then, and we wait for the end for the Q&A session. So please stay with us and make a lot of questions. Anyway, we are trying to gather everything. And as Renata was mentioned before, it's important to use just reliable source of information, but it's also very important to recognize what is a fake news. So here there is actually a 5 points, a bullet point that actually you can take in consideration that will help you very well to understand if news, if some information is reliable or not. Not just in this case, but also in some other cases during all your life, because we are surrounded by fake news. So first of all, try to identify the author. So the author is something that you can rely to, is an important journal. It's a scientific journal. It's a firm that actually a newspaper that you can trust, that has a lot of credibility, or it's just a website that you never seen with a crazy, strange URL or something like that. And then actually remember that, as Renata was saying, that your Facebook profile and other Facebook profile, they are not always very reliable. So always try to avoid to repost or share an information that you are not sure that actually is true. So always double check, because it's the best for everybody. So another point is how this news is presented. So quality is always important over quantity. So if you see crazy website or crazy Facebook post where you have a lot of words, a lot of dramatic punctuations, a lot of all caps words, a lot of misspelling, probably this is not something that you can trust. And then also double check, because sometimes there is people that used to recycle stories that are from the past, or maybe they are trying to use a story in one country, but actually that story happened in somewhere else. So always relate when you, for example, you see a video, always try to understand if the video is set it where they say it. So if you set it in Korea and you see that actually there are signs and informations written in Spanish, probably is not done in Korea. So this can be something that you can always check. And it's also important to check your source and the citations, because sometimes in some articles, you can read something like MIT, Stanford University, they studied this and they found that. But actually, did you check the website of this organization or this entity? Because maybe it's just a way to mislead you. So always double check the source and the citations that are made during the articles or during the video. And what actually is very important is to be open-minded and at the same time be skeptical. So be open-minded because it's always, sometimes it's not very easy to go through your confirmation bias. So we usually it's a normal mechanical mechanism of our mind to upset something that we already believe, rather than to accept something that we don't believe. So always be open-minded in that sense, because maybe what actually the facts and the science says is completely different what actually you believe. And then always be careful for your filter bubbles, because all the social media, they are organized with filters. So actually what is on your diary, what is on your Facebook page or Instagram page is something that is well made for you. So sometimes you need to break the bubble, go out and check for something else. So every time try to be skeptical and always double check. And of course, there's people around the world that are doing a very good job and are pros in find fake news. Here, I just mentioned a couple of realities. We have factcheck.org, but also the International Fact Checking Network. But there are tons of different websites that actually they are specialized in this. So always double check there if what actually you are reading is something that is reliable or not. Okay, so this is just a 5 bullet point, and you can take these, and for sure you will be helpful for you to understand when you have in front of you a fake news. And so maybe do we have time? Do you think that we have time for a question? I saw that Anna tried to reconnect. Let's see actually if your microphone is working.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, yes, we hear you. Perfect. Perfect.
Very good.
Yes, so someone asked before, how is it possible that symptoms vary so much? If you guys can, or if someone here can tell them why we range from people dying to people not having symptoms.
It's a very good question.
We are not experts. Really knows.
We don't really know, and I think also the scientists are struggling a lot about this. So
but that's happening with every disease. I mean, every virus can actually do that. There are some people that are healthy, they are fine, and they don't have anything. Some people, they just get more. And some reason for sure is that if they have already diseases that are related to, for example, smokers, they are more likely to have a worse reply to the disease, but that makes kind of sense.
Yeah.
And people that have cardiovascular disease, they also might have more problems because the cardiovascular system, it's also important for maintaining the level of oxygen in your blood. I mean, they are related, the respiratory system and the cardiovascular system. So if one is not working, and if the other one doesn't work as well, then you might have other problems. But I think this is pretty general for every disease, huh? I would say. I don't think.
Yeah, it's also because we need to remember that this is a virus that can generate a syndrome or symptoms. So also depends a lot, as Matteo was saying, on your body, on actually your habits, a lot of things, your age, also your sex, your gender is very important about that. So it's still under study, and this is something that should be clear to everybody, that everything is quite new. So this make everything much more difficult.
I just wouldn't say that it's surprising. I think it happens with every disease.
No, it's not. Probably it's not. You're right. Okay, Anna, do we have something else?
Yes, someone also asked me about the types of diabetes. If there is a difference, I think one of the plots that you guys showed at the beginning mentioned diabetes, and they asked if there is a difference between type 1 and type 2.
Matteo, do you have a reply to this question?
No clue at all. If you give me some time later, I can try to find the answer. But
okay, yes. Stay with us. I don't know. I'm trying to find the question in all your comments.
This one I got it by private message. So you won't find it.
Okay, it's not here. Okay.
Shy one.
Okay. So don't be shy, guys. Just post the question also in the live. Yeah. So let's go on, and we have something else to speak about it, of course. And actually, is what we can do instead. Okay, we need to keep our distance. We need to respect the quarantine, wash our hands, and so on. But there is also something else that we can do, right, Renata?
Yes. I think that Mikhail has something to say before.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's so basically we want to cross what we were saying, but okay. So basically, like as we have seen for now, the pandemic will lead to a tremendous impulse of collaboration between and also of solidarity between the people. There's a lot of groups that are being built. There's a lot of people wondering how they can help and who they should reach to help in their neighborhood, or for the people that have, let's say, a possibility to stay at home in quarantine, or to just live their life in quarantine. And so here we thought it was a good idea to gather some of the initiative that we have found and to just share it with you because it's important. So Renata, it's your time.
Thank you. So we put together this little banner there, and we're gonna circulate it after the live. But basically, there's a lot of stuff going on. Not everything that I'm going to mention is covered there because this is from a few days ago and we found more stuff. But I'll just try to go quickly through some interesting initiatives, more on the general side, so things that anyone can do, or almost anyone. First, there are a few scientific initiatives that are worth mentioning. The first of them is a platform called CrowdFight COVID-19. So it's basically a global network that was built by scientists from many different institutions to see who can help with different aspects of the crisis. So there's a lot of research going on at the moment, and it's a platform where the researchers can ask for specific tasks, help with specific tasks, and any scientist of any background can sign up as volunteer. You basically fill up a form and you sign up to their mailing list, and you get every few days a list of the requested tasks, and you see if you can help or if not. Obviously, this is all towards topic specific, but there are a few things like debugging code or programming help that can go through other areas as well, or proofreading and things like that. So that's quite interesting. And also more on a topic specific point of view, there are a lot of preprints being uploaded at the moment. So preprints, basically a piece of research, an article that hasn't gone through peer review yet, but it's worth sharing with the public and with the scientific community. So they're well-known websites that host preprints, and in this case, I will maybe mention bioRxiv and Prelights. So basically, the scientists they upload their research, and it's open for review of the wider community and comments and etc. So this is, if you are on more or less on the area, this is something very cool that can be done. And also for pre-lights, there is a dedicated website called covidpreprints.com that presents the landmark, let's say, preprints. So the very important ones, and shows a timeline, which is quite cool. So this is something that if you're bored, locked down at home, and if you have some sort of scientific expertise on the topic, or more or less around the topic, that you could help. But now going more specifically for Brussels, because we're actually all, no, we're not all based in Brussels, but most of us are. There are various platforms where you can offer or ask for help. So it could be any task. It could be doing groceries, or going to the pharmacy, going to the post office, walking the dog, etc. So there are several of those that try to bring people together, people that might be needing help, and people that are willing to do these tasks. So just to cite a few of them, there is the Serve the City Brussels, which has a focus on homeless shelters, refugee centers, orphanages, and other people in more in a risk situation, let's say. There's also Brussels Helps, which is an initiative from the Flemish administration in Brussels. There is a platform from ULB. There's also Helpify, which is really localized on your own neighborhood. So these are ways that if you're willing to help, it's worth checking out and helping out who is in need. There are also a lot of things going on social media, Facebook, also even some apps to help with local businesses, which might be struggling at the moment because we cannot go out. And yeah, you're gonna have to excuse my French, so I'm gonna try. There is one called Aide Citoyenne COVID-19 that is an app mostly for restaurants and wholesalers, where you can order stuff to be delivered. And there's also the Plateforme Citoyenne de Soutien aux Réfugiés, which is more focused on refugees. And also, to finish up, you can also help with fundraisers if you have the opportunity and the willingness. So there are a bunch of those now. I think it's worth mentioning the Heroes of Iris, that is basically a fundraiser for all of the public hospitals in Brussels. But there's also dedicated fundraisers for specific hospitals like Saint-Pierre and the ULB hospital, and also the Red Cross that takes money or material, donations of material as well, to help out people that are in missions, unavoidable missions. And as I said before, this banner there will be circulated afterwards, so you can get all the information from it.
Yes, thank you, Renata. As we said, everything will be then posted in our Facebook page, and so basically remember to add and to follow us in Facebook and also in Instagram. And then actually, if we go forward, we will see actually that there are other professional initiatives. We can go a bit in depth because Michael did a very nice job and was able to find something very interesting. So let's talk about that, Michael.
Yes, thanks. Actually, yeah, there's a lot of research as is going on the virus. So one good initiative, for example, is Holding at Home, that is here. That is in the internet since 2000. So remember the music you were listening in 2000 and imagine how far it is. So basically, this folding at home is helping the scientific community with computation. So basically, they will just install an app on your computer, and they will use your computer power to do some calculation for example, to model the proteins that are in the surface of the coronavirus. And so they can do some statement, some strong statement with that. What has been done? Okay, so basically the initiative for now is doing something about 470 petaflops. So for the people that don't know are wondering, it's the number of 1 petaflop is 1,000,000 of a billion operation in 1 second. So it's really a lot. It's really small operation, but it's doing really good maths. So basically, this initiative is growing 470 petaflops, as I told you. Also in the US, what has been said is that, what has been done is IBM, Google, Amazon are gathering all their supercalculators to fight against the virus again and to help and they only grew 300 petaflops. So basically the community is doing way much better than these 16 gigantic companies. So thanks, definitely. Otherwise, there are a few other stuff. So yeah, the COVID-19 stop.org and the open source against COVID are 2 Belgium initiatives. The first one is is about checking of individuals' health status. So basically, you just go to the app, and each and every day you just update your health status. They just ask you a few questions, and you answer it. And so the people, like the researcher and the health authority, has more reliable data to work on, actually. Because, yeah, as said before, not everyone is being tested for the virus, but you can create trends like to know where the virus is and where it's less. And the last one is an initiative from the same persons. So basically, it is about it's just a library of all open source projects to help with the crisis. So yeah, we can go to next one if you want. So yeah, otherwise, what has been done as well for the individual is that there have been a lot of tutorials to do some DIY masks. So the most trendies are the 3D printed face shield. So basically, it's a sheet of transparent plastic, not so thick, with some 3D printed parts on the side to stick on your head. And basically, it helps a lot. It is simple. It is simple, but it needs some materials as a 3D printer, for example, that not everyone have. What you can do as well is the DIY fabric masks that are not the most useful, but they are useful. I mean, this helps slow down the number of, it will slow the number of droplets that you leave while just breathing or talking in the streets. So basically, if you have the virus, especially if you have the virus, please wear something when you go outside. If you go outside, yeah. the most interesting is just to stay at home, but definitely if you need to go outside, just cover yourself. So yeah, there's a lot of tutorials in the internet to do that. It helps slow down the spread this much that Czech Republic, they decided to, how do you say that, to oblige the people that go out to cover their face, like to wear something on their mouth, especially mouth and nose, to help to slower the spread. What is also like the downside part of it, can give you a false feeling of security. So basically what you should do is always keep your mind on washing your hands. That is like basically the most influent thing you can do in everyday life. But yeah, that's it for this one. You can, yeah, okay. For like these were the initiatives, like the thing you can do as an individual. Other things that are being done as well is to help the medical field, because the medical field is struggling. There is a lack of supply of some materials. So what they did is that they used the Easy Breath mask from Decathlon. That is a mask for snorkeling, but that is really useful as well to cover your face. And they just adapted it. So first of all, they adapted it, you can see on the left, in Italy, to do a breathing mask for the patient that were in respiratory assistance. So basically, yeah, they just changed a bit how it works there, and they just printed some part in 3D printer on the upside. Yeah, this mask for the moment, I think they clean the mask after each patient. Like they can sterilize the mask on itself. They cannot sterilize the 3D printed part. So yeah, there's a lot of initiative. Like for the moment, this is really like, it is good for what it is. It is not suited for medical use at all, like at all. But the thing is that because it is a pandemic status and that there is a lack of supply, it's better, way better than nothing. So it's a pragmatic rescue solution, basically. What here in Belgium they are doing is that they use these protective masks for the professionals, so for the nurses and for the doctors, especially. Like they use it for really spontaneous and short intervention, such as the intubation. That is really, you're going really close to the patient, and yeah, this is invasive. So basically, you need to protect yourself. So yeah, same. What is good about this initiative is that when they began it, they just asked the hospitals what were the supplies that were not lacking and that they were still available. And they found out that the HME, so that is the heat, I don't want to say something wrong. So the HME is the heat and moisture exchanger that normally you would have put there to replace your larynx if you had, like, this is for the people that are being are going through surgery. So there was filters like this to use, and so they used it as the filter of the mask. So there was, it was really pragmatic again, and it was, it's working really well. And the last thing, there's a last thing I wanted to to you about.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, actually, that especially this piece that was created in Italy, the project to print it is basically free, right? So now in several hospitals, they are printing it. In several fab labs, they are printing it to help hospitals and patients, right?
Yeah, definitely. The thing is that, as I told you, these plastic parts are one use only. So you need to print them a lot. I think we can imagine that in the future we will mold them, but it takes some time to just like create the mold and to create the process as well. So basically, it's a really fast situation. Carrying, and it's really well done. So yeah, these like I think all of the projects I'm talking to you about source, everything is in the internet. And yeah, you can download the print it if you have a printer. You can send the part to any hospital you're in contact to help them. Basically, this few consideration that you should take if you want to print them, but reach me if you have some supply. But if you're running a fab or everything about what's going on in the fab labs, that are helping really a lot.
Okay, so let's go for the very last one. Actually, the project that you want to share with us, I guess which is this one.
The very last part. It is respirators, because actually we're the spreading of the virus a lot, but we need also to take care of the patients that are in ICU here and that they need respiration, artificial respiration to help them breathe, or with the increase of oxygen as well in these kind of cases. So yeah, basically there's in the trends we can see now, there's, for example, I have metrics for the US I have seen not far from now. In the US, there is something like 170,000 artificial respirator aids available in the hospitals. The thing is that they think that at the peak of the crisis in the US, as it is now, they think that you would need something like 900,000 respirators to help everybody. So this is going to be a problem. General Electric and Ford are already on it, so they are working to create those things. But one thing we do not think about as well, I think, this much, because we need to focus first on each of our countries, is that at some point it's going to strike the Africa, for example. And when it will strike the Africa, this will be terrific, because basically if it's spreading as fast as it is in Europe and in the US and in China, in Asia, it is going to infect a lot of people, and they don't have, like most of the country, a lot of country there don't have as much beds in the hospitals, much as equipment in their hospitals. So yeah, there will be a problem. So one really nice initiative that were done by a French fab lab in Paris, that is called the club sandwich, is the minimal universal respirator. So basically, they tried to keep the respirator as simple as it could be. As you can see in the picture, it's only cable, a bit of electronics, and two tubes. And yeah, basically this will help the countries that do not have as much as resources as we have here in Europe, for example. And this is really a good thing. Who is involved in this project? I think I'm just gonna double check. Yeah, they had some help from Dassault and from the Formula One team from Renault to build this, to not build it, but to implement this project because they care. And I think this is really a good thing that they are doing this way as well. For sure, it will never fit any European markets regulation as well. But in a time of pandemic, it matters less than in a normal time. And the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is just something that I heard yesterday. The COVID-19 challenge is a hackathon, so that is being online, that is about the creation of artificial ventilators. It is supported by big companies in 3D printing, especially in modeling. And it started yesterday, so you can still register. And yeah, there are a few projects that can be really interesting. I hope you enjoy.
Yes, it was very interesting, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. And actually, what is very interesting, the fact that the community, also thanks to internet and the modern technologies, they are trying to find a solution or create solutions where big companies or a huge organization, they cannot arrive, they cannot reach that point. So this is very interesting and it's very helpful. Probably in the future we will go in depth regarding this, maybe with some guests. Let's see actually if it's possible. And I don't know, Anna, do we have some questions before to go to the final part of this first event?
Yes, there are two more questions. Do you hear me, just in case?
Yes, we hear you.
So one of them is about the spread, the difference in the spread from country to country. So if it's a matter of time, I do think that it's a matter of time, so that it just arrived earlier to some countries and had less time to react. But I don't know if you guys have any...
Yes, actually, this is a very interesting question, and still, as Matteo was saying, that we don't have so much data right now to understand that. There is someone saying that also the habit of a culture of a country also contribute to this. For example, in Italy, apparently, also our way to live, our way to be, might be a contribution, but this is just a theory. It's the same actually for Japan. Someone is saying that in Japan arrived so late because they were able to follow the rules without going quarantine very well. They don't have so much of the culture of the hugging, of the shaking hands. So this might be helpful for that. But I don't know, guys, if you have other information regarding that. But it's still, we don't know very well. It's still under study, and it's very difficult to define.
Yeah, and I think there is so much difference also related on the power of each country to detect them. I mean, we don't know what's happening in maybe we don't know what's happening in Africa just because, I mean, we do know that something is happening in Africa, but those countries for sure they don't have the power to diagnose what can happen in the States or in Germany or in Italy.
It's so on the willing to check or not, because there's a lot of country where the politicals, like the political situation is saying, okay, we are testing everybody, as they did in Korea. Some are testing only the people that goes to the hospital, no matter if they are going for that or not. Some other country doesn't check that much, or check only if there's like a respiratory disease or problem. So it really depends on each and every country on how they're doing the test and when they're doing the test.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Something else, Anna?
Yes, one more that concerns the people that are catching it for a second time. So,
that was a very interesting one. Let's see if I can find it to share on the screen.
It's one of the last comments we had. Yeah, that's
no, it's not this one.
Below that one is one of the last ones. Yeah. Exactly.
Yes. So thank you, Tur, for the question. For what I know, and then please, guys, help me in this. There are very few cases of second contagion, second infection, and I think the first one was a woman in Japan, in Osaka, but that was not very clear. Apparently, wasn't 100% sure a second infection. Then might be there a misleading of the samples of the test, so it was quite blurry. For the rest, I don't have huge news. I didn't find a huge news regarding this, but maybe I'm wrong. So, guys, what do you think about it? Do you have any extra information about that?
I don't think so far there was any clear proof that this can be catched again, at least in after a month. Because I mean, you have to take into account that the first people that got cured, that got better, it got better in February most likely. So I don't think there is any proof that you can catch it again. But it's also nobody knows because there are viruses that give you lifelong immunity, and viruses that after 6 months you can be infected again. The only thing that we can say probably is that people now are at least starting to discuss on testing for that. This is pretty easy because you can simply check if there is the antibody in your blood.
Yeah, exactly.
It can be in a really fast way. So this information will come at some point for sure. But I don't think that anyone can predict if it's going to be a long-last defense or not. Because the virus can mutate as well. Nobody knows even that. So it's...
And Tur is also referring to this mutated strain possibility. So the possibility that the virus mutate. So far, the only study that we have is a study that was done by the WHO in Wuhan. And apparently, they were able to analyze 100 type of the virus, so different strain. And between these 100, the level of mutation was below 1%. So actually, it's right now the virus is quite stable. This might change in the future if the number of contagious change, but for now it's stable. So for now we are not talking about a mutated strain, but there is a lot of people that are also suggesting that they are theorized mutated strain in Italy. But for now, we have no idea about that. So the case of North Italy, it's a very interesting case that scientists are studying. But for now, we don't have anything that is sure 100%. So be careful with the information that you have, guys, and always double check if everything is fine. So I think that we are going very close to the end. Actually, what might be a problem right now is that the quarantine might be quite boring. So the five of us actually we put together some educative or cultural way to spend your time, which is not just stay in front of the computer or bake the cakes that you already baked other 10 times. So here we have 5 different possibilities, and I don't know, guys, if you want to talk of one of these, please go on.
Yeah, maybe we can go just one to next to each other. So I am first, and so yeah, the UNESCO just opened their virtual library, not museum, library of everything they have collected as the humanity has created. So it is really interesting. There's a lot of papers, there's a lot of videos, there's a lot of images of paintings. So it's just you can get lost there.
That's interesting. I think also a lot of Italian museums, they are open their doors, virtual doors, of course. So you can also check for something like this. So for sure you can find something. Another thing that you can do, you can stalker wild animals. That is something that everybody always love to do it, probably. I don't know who between of you actually suggests this. I think Anna, but I'm not sure about it. We lost you again.
We lost you again.
We lost your audio again. Sorry. But okay, so guys, if you want to spy wild animals and also animal in zoo, you can actually go on YouTube and check there. It's full of different stuff like that, and I show you that most of them are quite relaxing and some of them are hilarious. So have a look, and probably you will find something interesting. But actually, you can also learn something during this quarantine. This what actually was a suggestion by Renata. And
yeah, so there's lots of these online course platforms like Coursera or Class Central, Udacity, etc., that they're offering free online courses, even with certificates. So if you feel like it, you might as well learn something new.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's very cool. And actually, something else very interesting. It's a show on Netflix that I recommend you. Actually, most of you they have Netflix and probably they are chilling in front of it a lot. But actually, you can also learn something. There is this famous scientist, which is Bill Nye. I hope that actually I'm pronouncing well his name, Bill Nye. But he is doing this show called Bill Nye Saves the World. I think there are 3 seasons right now online in Netflix, and they are very interesting because they are super fun and they explain a lot of concepts of science. And sometimes there are also very interesting debates about what is scientific, what is not scientific, what is pseudoscientist. So also this is very interesting, actually, that you can, of course, jump in and enjoy it while you are chilling on your sofa. And last but not least, that was suggested by Anna. I'm sure about that, but unfortunately she cannot speak right now. But I know this platform, and I suggest you to go on and have a look. You can play board games for free with your friends online. And the name of the platform is Board Game Arena. And there are a lot of modern board games and also some old and never-ending board games. So just go there and enjoy with your friends if you want. And of course, it will be for sure very interesting. So
and
guys,
actually, if I can add, because I didn't want to put it in the slide because I'm not sure if I wanted, but one thing that might be actually pretty fun that I'm doing from time to time is to spy on people on the street, because
what?
It's extremely interesting to see how human beings behave in this situation.
Why you're stalking people from your room?
I have nothing else to do. I'm stuck at home, like everybody else. I have a square in front of my.
Yeah. But it makes sense. I can imagine that it is always funny, actually.
It's extremely amazing because you see people with, I don't know, they have the mask and they put it like a hat on their head. You just see people with the mask. They're speaking with each other. Then at some point they take it out and they spit.
No way!
Just look at them, and it's amazing. It's like,
oh my god, that's terrible. That's terrible.
It's like
really.
looking at the National Geographic channel, but with humans instead of animals. I'm assuming nobody catch me so far, and that's good.
No, apparently no. But probably something's coming out.
I'm not going to give away my position, but
so guys. Fun. I think we reached the end of this first live stream. Of course, now we can go through some question and have some Q&A. As you can see, as we tried to reply before, we don't have much information because we are not expert, and even the experts, they have problem to gather information that are reliable. So I don't know if there are any questions, Anna, or I don't know how you can point this to us. But okay, let's go quickly to a couple of them that I can see here. So I think that there was one regarding. I think we went through absolutely. I don't know. Actually, there is any other question, guys? Did you see any other question that we can? There was this huge comment from Chiara that actually is it's a huge comment, which is she's saying that during the SARS-CoV epidemic in 2002 and 2003, there was a correlation apparently between estrogen and the number of people that actually got the disease and died. So maybe this one might be one of the connection between the gender and actually the number of the rate between men and women of casualties. But as she said, just take this as a grain of salt. So it's not true. It's not always true. We don't know actually it's true for this kind of disease, for the new coronavirus. We will see. I don't know. And maybe we will see in the future if we have more question. So guys, I think we can go through the end. Of course, feel free to send us an email if you have any extra questions, if you want to suggest us a topic, or if you want to come and join us to speak in this with us. And maybe if you are expert, if you know better about something, if you want to talk about one of the projects that Michael was describing, if you're from one of the communities of organizations that are doing something to help Belgium in this situation, please contact us and share with us. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. In the next days, we are going to share with you this presentation, probably in small pills, one every day. I don't know how, but anyway, we are going to share with you all these links that these guys, they're all put all together. And thank you. I think that that's all for today, folks. Guys, do you have something else to add?
No, I think it's fine.
No.
Please let us know also if you have any possible feedback. If you like exactly. The format, so it's an experiment also for us.
Share with us. This is the first time we're doing this, so
yes.
See.
And the pressure of the live streaming is always there. So, guys, thank you for the people that are following us since the beginning. And I don't know, actually, I cannot assure you that we will be here next week. We will try to organize something else. Probably we will try to onboard some experts and some people that can say much more about that. And maybe we can also discuss something else. If you think that you want to discuss something else, if you are so bored about this coronavirus situation and you want to just talk about other point of science, just let us know. So go with feedbacks, put following our socials, and visit our website. And I think I said everything. And
I think so.
So
yes.
Yep.
And so, guys, thank you so much. And see you next time. Thank you for everybody that is still here. And see you next time. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Bye.